another episode today, guys. We are talking about something super important. We are breaking down the topic that is often very confusing and overwhelming for beginners, and we're going to be talking about macros. Maybe you've heard people talk about tracking macros like it's a second nature, but every time you start or feel like, okay, let me just dive into world macros, you get stuck in pretty much weeds and you feel like you are super overwhelmed. Maybe you download the tracking app, but then you're like staring at it thinking, okay, now what? Because yes, it can be very confusing, and I know it because when I coach clients and those who have like zero experience with tracking their foods and overall just even understanding what macros are, I know their questions are usually like, oh my goodness, like I don't even know how to track. I don't know what foods is what. Is it carb, fat, proteins? So if this sounds familiar and if you feel the same way, I think that this episode is going to be gold for you because I'm gonna walk you through exactly step-by-step process to start tracking your macros with a lot of clarity and feeling absolutely confident that you can do this. So you're not going to be winging it, you're not going to be feeling frustrated, and definitely you're not going to be playing this guessing game when it comes to what you should be eating, because ultimately, guys, if your goal is to lose weight, you want to gain muscle, maybe you're one of those ladies who wants to get their periods back because they've been starving themselves and they lost their cycles, you need to understand what you are putting in your body, because if you don't know what you put in your body, if you don't know how much you eat, if you don't know how much carbs, protein, and healthy fats you're eating, it's going to be really hard to accomplish any goal. So again, whether you are brand new or someone who have done some tracking before but still felt overwhelmed, I think that you are in the right place. So let's dive into it. Let's start first. Let's break down actually the basics, absolute basics, and we're gonna talk about what are macros. So macros, in short, for macronutrients, are the nutrients your body needs in a large amount for energy, for survival, and they are protein, carbs, and fats. Every single food you eat is made up of these three macronutrients in varying amounts. Some foods are simply just protein, some foods are protein, carbs, and fats, some foods are just fats. Like every single food has a different, obviously, varying amount in it. But let's talk about them. So first, the protein. What is protein? Well, protein builds and repairs tissues. So think about like muscles, organs, skins. Protein supports also immune function, and it will help with recovery. Carbs, they are not the enemy. Carbs are good. We like carbs. I love carbs. Everyone should eat carbs. I don't really think there is ever really a reason for many people to not eat carbs. The carbs are great because they are your body's preferred energy source for both like your muscle and also mainly your brain, guys. Brain, we need carbohydrates. We're going to feel amazing. You're going to have energy. You're going to feel happy. And lastly, fats, crucial for hormone production, brain function, and absorbing fat soluble hello English, vitamins like A, D, E, and K. So those are the three macronutrients. Now, each macro also has a specific calorie value. So protein has 4 calories per gram, carbs also have 4 calories per gram, and fats have 9 calories per gram. So this is important because tracking macros is essentially budgeting your calories when you think about this like in an easy way. Just like you would budget your money, some foods cost more calories, some less. But here is the key. Each macro serves a different purpose in your body. It's not just about calories in, calories out. It's about where those calories are coming from and how they support your goals. Because yes, if you're like, I'm going to be eating 1700 calories to lose weight, you can totally eat 5 donuts maybe 4, and you're gonna hit your 1700 calories, you're going to lose weight, but your body is not gonna be really happy. Your body's not gonna be getting any healthy fats to support your hormones. Your body's not gonna be getting any protein to help you to build muscle. Like, there is not a whole lot of nutrients in those donuts. So again, where those calories coming from really matters. Before even setting up your numbers, you also need to ask yourself, like, what is your goal? Are you trying to maybe lose fat? Do you want to build muscle? Do you want to just maintain your current weight while you're improving performance, getting stronger at the gym? Maybe you have a better relationship with food, or you want to have a better relationship with food. Like, what is your goal? Because each goal will slightly shift how your macros are set up. For example, for fat loss phase, you want to be in a calorie deficit, but you will likely want to have a little bit higher protein to preserve your lean muscle mass, because when we are in a calorie deficit, we are consuming less food than our bodies requires in order to maintain its weight. So we are also losing some muscle along the way. So the goal is really to have a higher protein intake in this phase, just to make sure that we are preserving your muscle mass. If you want to gain weight, like muscle gain, you want to be slightly in a calorie surplus with enough carbs to fuel your workouts. And if, for example, your goal is just to maintain and be happy, you want to have balance between, all those macros. Your macros are literally the blueprint to your results, but your goal is the foundation. Without a clear goal, your numbers are just numbers. Once you know your goal, so now you know, like, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to gain muscle, I want to maintain, you will need to establish your calorie target. You can use online calculators or formulas, right? There is tons of them, just to roughly estimate your TDEE, which is total daily energy expenditure, which is how many calories you burn in a day, including exercise. So your TDEE is your maintenance, how many calories you eat and maintain your weight on a daily basis. For beginners, it doesn't have to be perfect. For example, if you weigh 150 pounds, you're moderately active, your TDE might be, I don't know, around 2100, 2300, but it really depends, because how old are you, like your gender, everything matters. So you just have to go and calculate it in those online calculators. And from there, if your goal is to lose fat, you want to subtract about 300 to 500 calories for a deficit. So you're eating 300 to 500 calories less a day. And that should help you to lose approximately, if you're cutting 500 calories a day, it will help you to lose a full pound of fat a week. It should. There is a lot of things that can happen that prevents you losing fat, but we're talking about individuals whose metabolism is healthy, their bodies are healthy, and they're ready for fat loss phase. If your goal is to just maintain, you want to stick to close to the TDEE number, which is your maintenance. So if your maintenance is 2300, 2500, then you want to be eating that number. You don't want to be eating below. You're going to be eating around that number, because if you're going to be eating over that number, you're in a calorie surplus, meaning you're going to be putting on weight. That's probably also what you don't want if your goal is to just stay the same. And again, if you want to gain muscle, if you want to do like a bulk phase, then you want to add 150 to 300 calories above your maintenance, meaning you're going to be putting on weight, some fat and muscle, if you're strength training and, have your nutrition and strength training custom dialed specifically to you and your goals. Pro tip, you want to really start small, because especially with fat loss phases, like extreme deficits or surplus also can really backfire. You might lose tons of weight and then put it back on, deal with a lot of cravings, hungers, things like that. And if you go and overshoot your maintenance big time, you're gonna really put on weight quickly, and that's gonna be a lot of fat and not just muscle. And a lot of people, that's why they're scared from bulking faces, but then they go crazy and they just like overeat so much, and then they end up being like fat, and that's not their goal. They just want to put on muscle. So be really careful with that. Now, once you have your calorie target, we break that into macros. A simple place to start is that you want to aim for 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight when it comes to your protein. When it comes to your fats, you want to keep them maybe between 20 to 30% of your total calories. And when you go and calculate your carbs, they will simply just fill the rest of your calories. So that's how you calculate it. So let's use an example of 150 pounds example. Person is eating 1800 calories for fat loss target or goal. Protein will be 150 grams, meaning it's 600 calories. Remember, protein, 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. Your fats will be 25%, so that would be 450 calories, meaning 50 grams. And the rest of it will be carbs, which is literally the leftovers calories that goes to carbs, and that would be, let's say, 1800, right? Then you have 600 plus 450, which is coming from your protein and fats. You have 750 calories left for your carbohydrates, divided 4 because 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories, and we have 187 grams of carbs. Done. You have your target. Maybe you want to listen to this on a repeat just to write things down, but I hope that it was helpful. These should be adjusted though based on your progress, how you feel, and your preferences. That's why, again, you can go to calculators, online calculators, follow them for a little bit, see results, and eventually you're like, it's not working, right? That's why coach comes in place. If you need help, it's always better to have someone who can actually adjust them for you, because again, what works for someone is not going to work for you, and sometimes even these calculations might not work for you because your body is unique. Now, next, what you're going to do is that you're going to download an app like MyFitnessPal, Chronometer. Like, I personally use MyFitnessPal. I used to use Chronometer, but MyFitnessPal is the best. These tools or apps will help you to log your food and track how close you are to your targets. Super important. Again, if you want to see results, you need to learn how to track your meals. And I don't really care about like when people say I'm just intuitively eating, like, oh, that's cool. It's great that it works for you. But also when you work with a coach, how do you want your coach to like help you specifically if they don't know what you put in your body? For me, it's a must, and it's not that hard. Once you learn that, it's really not that hard. So again, once you download the MyFitnessPal app, here is how you're going to use it effectively. So first week, you're going to track everything you eat without changing anything. You're not going to change anything. You're just going to really learn your baseline. You're going to get familiar with how to search for food, scan barcodes, and input maybe custom recipes. Like, that's literally maybe the next step. You don't need to learn it right away. And then you're going to watch out for verified entries in apps. Not every food is logged correctly, because in MyFitnessPal there is a lot of nonsense items, and so that could be very confusing for a lot of people. So make sure that you are always looking for the verified items or entries in the app, because you know that those are the correct ones. Guys, remember, trekking is a skill, like learning to ride a bike. Expect some bumps early on, and just don't give up when things get hard or if you feel frustrated, because I promise you, again, once you do it, like, you know, like once you get a little bit more experienced, it's going to become your second nature. For me, it's like, I'm making my pancakes and eggs in the morning, I grab my phone and track my food. It takes me 10 seconds. It's not really an extra work. It's just being intentional with that, right? And You also want to build awareness without obsessing. This part is where most people freak out because they realize that they're under eating protein, over consuming fats. I've had a client who logged his food for like his first 7 days and his fat was like way over 100 grams, right? That was too much. Or, there are some hidden carbs that you didn't know about that you were consuming, or really just not understanding even like how oil can really adds up and increase your fat intake so quickly without even realizing. Dressing, snacks, those things really adds up, and that's where a lot of people is like, oh my god, I had a client who was like, I had no idea how much nuts I was eating. I was literally eating like over 2,000 calories because my nuts were like 800 calories. I was like, yeah, they're really calorie dense. So it really helps you to be more aware of what you're actually eating and how calorie dense certain foods are. So like I said, this is very normal and this is part of the learning experience, and it's very, very, very valuable for you to actually understand these things. Awareness is your biggest weapon, guys. It's not about guilt. It's literally just about the data and understanding what you are putting in your body. For example, maybe your salad has 700 calories from dressing and cheese alone, which you wouldn't know if you didn't track it, right? That's why there's always like, yeah, I'm eating salad, but I actually put like cheese and croutons and the dressing, and next thing you know, from healthy salads, I'm eating 1,200 calorie salad, so might as well I can just have literally a burger. Yes, you can, right? Like that's just a little example. Or maybe healthy smoothies or those like acai bowls, right? They are healthy, they're great. Obviously a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, but it's fruit, right? There's nothing wrong about that. Every meal has its place in your diet. But if you're constantly eating these acai bowls, they're worth like 1,200 calories, and then you have lunch and few snacks, and then you have maybe dinner, those calories adds up, and you maybe probably way over 2,000 calories with your daily intake, and you're surprised why you cannot lose weight, thinking I'm eating healthy, right? Just the awareness, like learning this early gives you really the power to make swaps without cutting out foods you love, because you can still have them, but maybe you're gonna have less little portions, right? Now let's talk about prioritizing your protein. Protein is king, guys. Protein is king. But I'm also gonna say, if you want to lose weight, like focusing on eating more protein is not going to help you, okay? I hear it all the time when people that I talk to on social media and everywhere, I ask, okay, what are you doing to lose weight? I up my protein. Protein is not a magic. Protein is very, very important and essential, but it's not what's going to help you to really lose weight. If you're going to double up on your protein, but you're still over consuming calories, you're not going to lose weight. So that's not really what protein does. But if your goal is like fat loss, right, muscle gain, you need to eat protein. Protein is essential. It's main building block in your body. Most people undereat protein, and here is the rule. You want to anchor every single one of your meals with high protein sources like chicken breast, tofu, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, protein powders, ground turkey, eggs, egg whites, things like that, and always focus on having a serving of protein in every single one of your meals. So 20 to 40 grams of protein per meal, plus snacks like 15 grams. That's kind of like how you want to structure your meals. But again, protein itself is not going to help you to lose weight, but it's very important to maintain your muscles, right? To preserve your lean muscle mass. And just overall making sure that you're getting the nutrients in your body, because it is essential, it is important. Once you hit your protein consistently, carbs and fats are way easier to manage. Although some clients always like, oh my god, there's so much carbs, I can't eat this much carbs, because they've been cutting them for the longest time thinking that they're making them fat. So sometimes we kind of have to retrain their brain. But once you do that, once you know that protein is no problem, you already like know exactly like, okay, I'm every single meal I have 20 to 40 grams of protein. You want to plan. You want to really plan ahead, because trying to wing your macros every single day is a literally recipe for frustrations, and you're going to fail. And here is the key, guys. The easiest way is to pre-log or pre-plan at least 1 day ahead. Simple ways to do this is you want to log your meals the night before. You want to meal prep proteins so you always have them ready, and you have like 3 to 5 go-to meals or snacks you can just rotate in. For me, I usually pre-log the biggest meals of the day, which would be my breakfast and lunch, and then I like fill those gaps with rest of my meals like snacks and dinner. But like my biggest meals are always breakfast and lunch because I like to eat bigger meals for those 2 meals, right? So I always pre-log them, and then depends on how many calories I have left, I just literally fill those gaps. Planning ahead will really help you to avoid situations when you are just scrambling at 8 p.m. to hit your protein and end up eating plain tuna out of a can. I've been there, right? So I'm just saying, if you pre-plan, you are setting yourself up for big success. Now, you want to also, when you start, you want to accept that progress is better than perfection, because macro tracking it's not about being always perfect. It's about building the habits and learning the flexibility. That's why macros are great, because yes, if you go to the restaurant, you can still have different meals. You don't have to be like, I'm on a diet, I can go eat for dinner. No, like it's not the life that we want to live. But it really helps you to have the flexibility and just be aware of what you're putting in your body. Because guys, when you start, I know from clients who just starts and joins my program, like sometimes their macros are all over the place, and that's okay. But maybe you want to start following things like this guideline. Let's say, like, stay within 5 to 10 grams of your carb and protein goals. Then you're going to stay within 3 to 5 grams for your fats, right at the beginning. You're going to track 5 to 6 days per week consistently, not just Monday through Friday, you guys, because weekends counts as well. Your body doesn't know it's Saturday, okay? Your body literally knows, like, okay, it's another day, but for you, it's like Saturday, let's just like not track anything, let's just have a good time. So track Monday to Sunday, 7 days a week with these variables, like 5 to 10 grams within your targets for your carbs and proteins, 3 to 5 grams within your targets for your fats, and then track 7 days a week. And remember also that holiday, vacations, social events, these don't need to derail you. You just need to track, just track to the best of your ability and move on. When clients go on vacations, they usually ask, like, what should I eat? And I always say, listen, it's 1 week or 2 weeks, and that's not going to ruin your progress. Just make healthier choice. Just don't eat like an asshole, because the food will always be there. Make sure that you are hitting your protein as much as you can. Fill up your plates with veggies. Drink your water. Have your proteins with each meal, and just have a good time. Like, have the dessert. Like, you're on vacation. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to make you fat. Like, you're not going to lose progress in 7 days. If rest of the years you are somehow, staying on track and working towards your goals, and trekking on a vacation, whether you decide to do that or not, you can at least approximately log foods in. And actually the best thing about the trekking, I feel like, is when you get used to trekking and you're actually intentional, where you like, okay, like when I'm portioning 100 grams of cooked rice, I know how 100 grams of cooked rice look like, because I see that on that plate. So then when you go on vacation, yes, you're not going to have a food scale, hopefully. Please don't bring your food scale to the hotel and take it out of your purse and just don't do that. But at least you, like, when you're portioning from the buffet styles of like dinners, right, and stuff like that, you can literally just like portion it out and think like, okay, this is probably 100 grams, because I've been weighing my 100 grams of rice for the last year. I know how it looks like. Is it going to be accurate? Absolutely not, but that's okay. Don't get so obsessive or obsessed with tracking every single gram, especially on vacation. That's a time for you to de-stress, enjoy, have a good time, have the dessert after dinner, because it's not going to ruin your progress. You just, with tracking, you're going to build consistency over time, the awareness, you're going to know how portions looks like, so then vacations actually becomes way easier for you. One thing I'm also going to mention is that this is a very important part, is that macro tracking is not forever. Think of it like a training, just a training for a certain time. I don't know, whether it's few months, few years. You will eventually learn how to build balanced meals intuitively without the app. And that's what I'm talking about. Whether it's the vacation or you hit your goal and then you're going to say, okay, I don't need to track because I quite frankly know how to actually stay at this same weight while eating the foods that I've been, eating for the longest time. I know portions. I don't need to track every single bite that I put in my mouth because I've learned this. I've learned how my portions should look like. The biggest problem that I see with a lot of people is that they actually don't even know how portions should look like because they've been eating like a freaking pigeon for the longest time. So now they're like, I don't even know how much I should be eating, like how my plate should look. Should it be less than I'm serving to my 10-year-old son, or should it be more? Like a lot of people have zero idea. Thank you, diet culture. So again, this will really help you. And guys, the long-term goal is just a nutritional freedom with a knowledge. Being able to eyeball portions, make balanced choices, and fuel your body right without starving and cutting out, all food groups, because you don't need to do that. So there you have it. 10 steps, or how many I've covered, to get started with macros the right way. Again, it's not about being perfect from day one. I started tracking my meals probably it was when I lived in Chicago, so 2012. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so 13 years ago, I started tracking my foods. And yeah, of course, there were days or months when I wouldn't track. And then there are, separate periods when I track consistently. But like I said, it's not about being perfect. Really, it's just about learning, making mistakes, adjusting, finding what works for you, whether it's MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or any other apps. Just find what works for you. When it's done correctly, really, macro tracking will help you ditch the all or nothing diets, stop fearing food, and finally feel in control of your nutrition, understanding what actually works for your body, not what works for your friend Karen, but what actually works for you, because your body is very unique. Your body is not the same body like your friend Karen has. It's two different bodies, so you can't expect that what works for someone else is going to work for you. That's why you need to test it and find what works the best for you. So, guys, thank you so much for listening this episode. If it was helpful, again, I always ask you, share this episode with someone, send it to your friend, your mom, your dad, whoever you feel like it needed. Leave a review, because that's how we grow. That will help me to get in front of more people so they can listen to me. And until next time, have the best day of your life, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.